Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give Him praise and thanks for all of His goodness and His guidance to the human family. We thank Him for Moses and the Torah. We thank Him for Jesus and the Gospel. We thank Him for Muhammad and the Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Allah. As a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I am grateful to Allah for His intervention in our affairs and raising up in our midst the divine leader, teacher, and guide for us to the straight path of God, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I'm so sorry that I did not get a chance to hear all of those who spoke before me, but I want to thank each of you for your words, and I want to pay a special tribute to the FOI and the MGT who worked so diligently to make the Day of Atonement such a great success. This is the first time that we have had a major day in Chicago, and we had no support from any of the other mosques or temples because they were busy in their cities. And so we just about almost packed the pavilion by ourselves, and that was a great effort. The Day of Atonement was accepted throughout the country, and reports are still coming in of the magnitude of its success, which cannot be measured just in terms of those who came to public gatherings or to rallies, but those who privately in their homes carried out the principles of the Day of Atonement. For everyone who fasted, and for everyone who prayed, and for everyone who did something in harmony with that day, I'm grateful and thankful. And it's not that you're doing it for me, you're really doing it for yourself, as I really believe you will know better when this lecture is over. I am grateful to all of those who were on the program, and if there were any who were offended by my speech, I cannot beg your pardon, but I am hurt if you are hurt. But I cannot beg your pardon for telling the truth. And to all of the members of the clergy who may be here, I want you to listen carefully to my words today, and I want you to know how much I love you and earnestly want your ministry to be more successful than it is, not in terms of the numbers that you have at your worship service, but until and unless we move our people in the way that would make them attempt to live a life pleasing to God, then all of our preaching is vanity. We are not watchers over the people's faith, but we must lift up the standard of God by which he will judge every one of us. And any spiritual leader that hides the standard of God will be destroyed by God himself, you and your followers. I'm going to say that again. I want every one of us to understand the importance of teaching the people right. I want every one of us to understand the importance of lifting up the standard of God by which God himself will judge each one of us. And any leader, preacher, imam, rabbi, cardinal, priest, pope, sheikh, if you hide the standard of God to appease political powers, temporal powers, corrupt economic powers, then God will destroy that which you have hidden the truth from, but destroy you for hiding the truth and the standard of God from the people. The day of preaching for money, the day of preaching for business, the day of preaching seeking favor of anybody but God is over, and I'm here to warn you that Allah is angry and he will kill you and all your followers for failure to lift up the standard of God. Understand me? My subject today is called beating prophecy. Beating prophecy. I can say, brother, y'all can do what you got to do, but if you were wise, stay with me, because you want to be able to beat prophecy. 12 leaders of Islam from all over the planet have conferred in the root of civilization concerning the lost found nation of Islam must return to their original land. This is a problem given to us by Master Farad Muhammad, whom we believe is the great Mahdi that the whole world has been looking for. One of the conference members, by the name of Mr. Osman Sharif, said to the 11 members of the conference, quote, "The lost found nation of Islam will not return to their original land unless they first have a thorough knowledge of their own. So they sent a messenger to them to teach them of their own. Now the messenger and his laborers worked day and night for the last 3.5 years, and their accomplishments are approximately 25,000. The messenger and his laborers are worried, for the time of laboring is mentioned and limited in said problem number 31. One of the prophets in the early days said, quote, "The lost found nation of Islam, numbering 144,000, will be stars and will return to their original land. And the balance," he said, "are poison and rusty and will not take the knowledge of their own." But the messenger and his laborers do not agree with the old prophets in this modern time. He thinks that he will remove all poison and rust from every one of the 17 million, but it's now nearly 40 million. At the same time, he desires for every one of you students to He thinks that he will remove all poison and rust from every one of the 17 million, but it's now nearly 40 million. At the same time, he desires for every one of you students to help solve the problem, since you have learned the time, accomplishment, and the old prophet's number of 144,000. Now, he asked the question, what do we mean when we say poison and rusty? And what profession is the most poisonous and the rustiest? Now, brothers and sisters, I quoted this problem book, which is just for registered Muslims, because you have been called to help solve the problem of bringing all of our people into the knowledge of their own. And you and I are called on to work night and day, for the time is limited. So we are trying to beat prophecy. 144,000 black people saved out of 40 million means a whole lot are going down. I'll say it again. 144,000, if that is the number that the prophets saw, then most of our people are going to die. But he said, we don't believe in the old prophet's number in this modern time. See, if God is present, and in the Bible you say, I can do what? All things through Christ which strengtheneth me, then we can say categorically that we can beat prophecy. We can beat prophecy. I want to give you a simple picture, and then let's talk about how we're going to beat prophecy. If you knew that on a certain day at a certain time, a chimney on a building which needed tuck pointing but was not tended to would fall, and a person would be walking near that building at the time that the bricks would fall, and knowing that falling bricks from the top of a building, falling at the rate of speed of 32 feet per second would hit the person in the head, killing them instantly. If you knew that, you have 3 or 4 options. The first option is, I'm glad I know it, I'm going to make sure I'm not going to be on that corner near that building at that time. So it ain't going to be me. I'm beating prophecy for me. And some of us will take that narrow, selfish approach to knowledge. You know what's about to happen, but you're going to get on the safe shore, but you don't care about nobody else making it. Then there's another option. You can go to the person who owns the building and warn them that their chimney is in disrepair. Ask him to look at it immediately and don't delay, because you saw somebody getting hit with a brick from this chimney, and as a result, the owner of this building will be sued and somebody will die. Now, if you did that, you'd be doing a good thing. Now you lay on the owner a burden. Well, who are you? What do you know about my chimney? Now you could come back at him like that. If you're the owner, you could say, well, man, how did he see that? Oh, I ain't paying him no attention. He's just a nut. But if you're wise, you say, oh, really? Thank you very much. Let me go up and check my chimney. And if you went up and checked it and saw that it needed tuck pointing and it was about to fall, you would act immediately to call a brick mason to come immediately and fix that chimney. You've beaten prophecy. Now, if you accept the warning and work in a timely fashion, you beat the prophecy. Now, if you say to the person who tells you about your chimney, what do you know about chimneys? Who are you? You don't come and tell me nothing about my chimney. Yeah, well, just let it fall then. Some people are ignorant just like that. So you have another option. You know somebody's going to be walking on that corner at that time, so maybe you stand opposite to holler out to them, hold it, don't go there, that chimney's about to fall. So if it falls, by your being in the vicinity to call out to the party, you could beat prophecy that way. Prophecy is conditional. There are some prophecies that are just going to happen, but most prophecies are really conditional. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that there are some people born with the gift of prophecy, and others learn it through an intense study of history. Now, since most of us, practically all of us, are not born with the gift of prophecy, then if any of us have it, we can gain it through an intense study of the cyclical nature of history. Now, history repeats itself because people don't learn. Once you learn the lesson of the history, you close the book on that and you move to a higher level of manifestation of truth. Are you with me? All right. There are many prophecies in the Bible relating to the time in which we live. We may know the prophecies, and because we know the prophecies, we work to get the people to escape the consequences of these prophecies, because we know that prophecy can be beaten. But there are a lot of conditions in human beings that have to be changed in order for us to beat prophecy. Now hear me. I asked myself over the weekend when I heard that some pastors were upset with me for some things that I said. I asked myself, why? Was it my manner? If it is my manner of representing truth, I can change that. And if my manner offended you, then I am willing to apologize for my manner. Because I want to be perfect in order that you don't have an excuse with God for rejecting truth simply because you didn't like the way I said it. Now, the Bible says, he who offendeth not in word is a perfect individual. But there is no way to tell truth and not offend the guilty. No way. You can sweeten it up, tell it, you know, in the best language possible. But if the party is guilty of what the truth is pointing out, they will be stung by the power of the truth and blame the bearer of the truth, while in fact they themselves are the guilty party. Now, I intend, if you hang with me, I'm going to lay it out here today. See, I know there ain't no preacher in America that talks like this. I know that. I know there's no imam in America that talks like I talk, because there's nobody in America with a sense of mission like I have. For preaching, and it is not to hear you shout or stand up and clap. It is to make you a better individual, that you and I may escape the wrath of God, which is about to come down on the United States of America. Do you understand me? The reason people refuse guidance or warning is because they love where they are, and they believe that where they are is correct, and emotionally they feel threatened by any warning or guidance that comes from a place from which they don't expect it, or from someone who they believe should not really know what they're talking about. Or if we don't come with certain credentials that you recognize as credentials, it blinds you to truth, because you want to know, well, by what authority do you tell me what you tell me? Did you graduate from Al-Azhar? Did you graduate from Harvard? Did you graduate from Yale? Hell no, I didn't graduate from none of that. message. Whether I came from Harvard or Yale is irrelevant. If I came from God, I came from the highest university in the universe. I asked Allah to please hold me today. Because Brother Farrakhan is very full. And I hope you will pardon me if I seem exceedingly strong, what I'm saying. But I'm very, very full. Very, very full. Sometimes we don't listen to whatever is being said that threatens our mental stability by undermining what it is that we have believed all our lives. But listen. Listen. If what you believed all your life was right, why are we in the condition that we are in? Satan has deceived the whole world. Did you escape? Talk to me. Did you escape? Or are you so arrogant that you believe that even though Satan has deceived the whole world, you got out? Oh no, I got out because I'm a Muslim. I got out because I'm a Christian. I got out because I read the Quran and the Bible. I don't care what you read. That's why every time you open the book Muslim, you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. There's never a time that we would do right that Satan is not present to encourage the wrong. You're looking for Satan in some mystical space when it's your own deceptive intelligence that you got to guard against. That's your worst enemy. There's no enemy outside of yourself worse than the enemy within. And that's the enemy most of us don't want to deal with. And that's why we can talk about jihad with an external force, but the real jihad we run away from, and that is to put the internal Satan. And that is a battle that you gotta fight 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 46 seconds every day of the year. Sometimes you love a person and you see them going in a direction that is not good, or a direction that you perceive is not good, and you tell them, and instead of them telling you they don't see it like that, or try to reason with you, they become angry and upset. Conditions of the heart and the mind make us unwilling to believe in that which we are hearing that upsets what we have grounded our lives in. Dear Muslims, Christians, Jews, you have grounded your lives in your present understanding of the Word of God. Does that mean that your understanding is absolute?
This is what we do right here. You lay it down.
If your understanding and ours is not absolute, then we ought to be humble enough to open our ears so that perhaps we may learn more about what it is that we say we know.
This is what we need.
How dare any of us arrogate to ourselves the perfection of knowledge? How dare any one of us arrogate to ourselves the perfection of understanding? So then all of us are students.
Yes, sir.
So, my beloved family, the conditions of the heart and mind that make us unwilling to believe in that which we are hearing that upsets what we have grounded our lives in. So the Quran says, when the prophet is speaking to them, giving them guidance, they say, but we found our fathers doing this. Because people get lost in traditions. So traditions enslave us, and God wants to free us. But we are so grounded in what we found our fathers in. And the Quran says, what if your father was a fool? You go to college. Many of you are college graduates, and you're so proud of your degree. I'm sure you worked hard. I'm sure you worked hard, and you deserve not more, if that. Why do I say that? Because if all I can do is quote a great scholar whose knowledge is not absolute, then by quoting that scholar and not standing on his scholarship to try to look beyond him, because time is moving, God is evolving a universe toward perfection, but man is so far behind because man is enslaved by a scholarship that is less than God. You quote your scholars. Many of them have spent their lives studying the Quran, studying the Bible. How long did they live? Well, they lived 90 years, 60 years, 80 years. Oh, heck. That's a baby. How old is God? And how deep is His Word? How high is His Word? How broad is His Word? How dare you arrogate to yourself that because you have studied 30 years or 40 years or 50 years or 100 years or 1,000 years that you know God? The infinite only know what he permits us to know of him. And what he permits us to know, he wants us to master. Otherwise, he can't give you more if you're failing in what he's already given. Just follow me. I'm full. Abraham was called the friend of God. And he's the father of Jews, Christians, and Muslims. He's the father of monotheistic modern religion. But the beauty of Abraham is he is a friend of God. And he's a friend of God because he loved to obey God. Allah says in the Quran that he tried Abraham with certain commands. And when Abraham fulfilled them, he said, surely I will make you a leader of men. So leadership, the prerequisite for leadership is not eloquence. It's not quoting from books. The requisite demand for leadership in a new world order is that all leaders must obey God. And if you are not in obedience to God, then your leadership is of no value. And God will sit you down as sure as I stand and you sit. He will sit me down, you down, the president down, the kings down, the pope down. He don't care who it is. The prerequisite for leadership and for friendship with God is obedience to his will and not yours or mine. And you know and I know that you and I don't obey God. We obey the lusts and desires of our hearts. And that's why our leadership fails. And it will continue to be a failure. Preachers, you will never hold on to God's people. He will cease the people from feeding at your mouth because you refuse to bring your actions in line with the will of God. I didn't know I was coming out today. But when I heard of the upset of some of my dear beloved pastors over my words, and all of the experiences that I had over this last week, which filled me with sadness and with tears, I said, let me come out today, and because Allah showed me so much, I don't know whether I can get it all over to you, but I will try. Abraham saw the people worshiping stones. The people were sincere. Their just sincerity was misguided. But they loved their idols. Abraham wanted to get them to see, those that worship the sun, that the sun went down, and it disappeared at night. And those who worship the moon and the stars, those who worship snakes and images and fire, that this was not God. But they had big idols that they loved. So one night, Abraham went out when everybody was asleep, and he busted the next to the biggest one. Broke it. The next morning, the people came out and saw the idol broken. They said, "Who did this?" And Abraham said, "Well, why don't you ask the big one? I mean, surely if he's God, he could tell you who did it." Well, I mean, now wait a minute. Poor Abraham. See, he wanted the people to worship God alone. And so he put himself in harm's way by busting the idol that they loved. So when they understood it was he who did this, they grabbed him and boiled him in oil. But Allah was in the fire and kept it cool. But look at what people will do when you trouble their idols. Look at what people will do when they are steeped in their way, and their way is wrong, and they don't want correction. But God spared Abraham. And then we have poor Noah. That poor man, trying to get the people to go right. He built an ark on dry land. I mean, people laughing. Look at this nut. Oh, Noah, the water's over there. And he's building something where he knows water's coming. You can't see it. He knows it. He's trying to get you to beat prophecy. But your heart is so rusty and poisoned with the filth of the world. You want to party. You want to dance. You want to give in marriage and have a good time, and to hell with you, Noah, fool. And look at those who believe in Noah and call them fools. But one day a cloud showed up, and they thought it was just another rainy day in Georgia. But the rain never stopped. And the few that followed Noah got in the ark, and the rest were killed, as it was in the days of Noah. So shall it be. Future tense. something coming. Something coming. And you're going to be just like those people.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to Pharaoh. You all know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where the Son of Man is mentioned again, that people would be acting as the people of Sodom in the end times. And they would want to know, how does God look at homosexuality? I don't know why it has become so hard for us to say what the Word says. If I'm guilty of adultery, the Word condemns my actions. If I'm lying, cheating, or stealing, the Word condemns my actions. And if I'm a homosexual, the Word condemns my actions. So if you are a spiritual guide, why are you afraid to say what Allah has said? What favor do you want from the world that you would rather be a friend of the world than a friend of God? You know, when you look at Pharaoh, I said this before, but I'm going to say it again because I really want us to understand how you can set yourself up for destruction. All of us, ministers, all of you. There ain't nobody here exempt from this. Allah kills children too. He don't care nothing about you being a baby. When he get ready to wipe the slate, he'll kill you and your children. So you can be stupid if you want to, but you're not only stupid for yourself, you're stupid for those that you claim to love. But let me tell you something. If you love them enough, you get on back to God and bow down, then you'll have something to save your children with. Look, you read in the Bible and in the Quran how Allah hardened Pharaoh's heart. You know, and it looks like something is wrong with God, that he would send a plague and Pharaoh would want to submit, and God wanted to make himself known so badly that he would harden Pharaoh's heart so he could get a chance to kill Pharaoh so that everybody would know that he was God. Now, wait a minute. Wait. See, I mean, look, man, the scriptures ain't right. To place God in a cheap position that violates his own attributes. If he is the oft-returning to mercy, the merciful and the forgiving, why would he harden Pharaoh's heart if Pharaoh wanted to bow down? You misunderstand. See, Allah is the creator of all of the laws that govern his creation. And there is a law that governs the heart, man. And whenever God speaks to you or to me about something that we are doing which we know he disapproves of, and we act as though we don't hear him, we ignore what we know is right to do what we know is wrong.
That's right.
After you keep doing that, the law that governs the heart hardens it against what you have hardened yourself against. Allah turns you to that to which you turn yourself. He's clear of you, but the law is what caught you.
Get it straight. No chase.
So when Pharaoh heard what he didn't like, God telling me, let the people go. These are my slaves. I'll keep them. Who is he? See, he's speaking against. See, and you do the same thing. We all do it when we know what's right. See, we start this talk of justifying. Justifying what you know is wrong. And every time you justify wrong to make wrong look right, you're hardening your heart against what is right. And then you don't hear right anymore. You become deaf and blind and dumb.
That's right.
That's what happened to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh repented according to the Quran. When the destruction was coming down and he was drowning, now he's going down, okay? And now he said, oh, there is a power bigger than me. He's killing me. He's killing me. Then he cries out, I submit to Allah, the Lord of the world. Allah heard him. And Allah had mercy on him, but killed him anyway. Because you can't wait till the last minute to get your life together. He will kill you if you wait beyond the time. He killed Pharaoh and he saved his body. He allowed the sea to give up his body, and the body of Ramses is there in the museum in Cairo, so you can go and look at the Pharaoh that rebelled against Allah, that Allah is leaving as a sign for rebellious governments, kings and rulers and people. Now let's bring it up to the modern time. See, those who bring messages like this suffer greatly when you try to reform or change the state or condition of a people. Dear pastors,
Yes, sir.
see, most of you are not trying to change the condition of the people. You woke up one day and some of you are very sincere and many of you are not. and you preach not to please God, but you preach for honor among men.
Yes, sir. Make it plain. Yes, sir.
You know it, and I know it.
That's right. You know what you're talking about, man.
I have some like that with me.
Yes, sir.
No.
Go ahead on and teach, man. Lay it on.
I know what I got.
Yes, sir. That's right. We go back and let you know that.
Some of us want honor.
Yes, sir.
Some of us want people to carry our bag.
Yes, sir.
Some of us want people to pay our salary. We don't want to change their condition.
That's right. Live fear.
Because you don't want to suffer. Because when you try to change the condition of people,
Yes, sir.
and they don't want to change, then they will hate you. They will plot against you. They will say evil things about you. They will bring you before the courts and councils of men. They will put you in prison. They will scourge you. And ultimately they will kill you because they don't want to change. They're comfortable in their madness because they and their madness is acceptable. The Bible, Paul talking, Paul says, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds. Well, let's stop.
Yes, sir.
How was the mind formed in the first place? That it needs renewing.
Yes, sir.
The mind is formed by the things you see, you hear, you smell, you taste, you feel, and you learn from your life experience. Those who rule this world have established institutions of governance, institutions of learning, institutions that shape minds.
That's right.
You go to school, you can't mention God's name. Don't pray.
No.
Don't bring prayer in this school. But you will send your children to a school where they can't pray. Pastor. But then you will hold a press conference and tell people 9 reasons why they should not get involved in atonement. You will not stand on the corner or tell your congregation about the House of Blues or the disco or the nightclubs or the foul styles of their dress. But you will stand in your pulpit with a woman with a Dear Christians, dear Christians, dear pastors, dear imams, dear rabbis, dear scholars, how was your mind formed? And if you can tell me that you don't need renewing of your mind, then you are satisfied with what the world has done to your head. And this is why my great Islamic political leaders will bow to guidance from Washington, D.C. And this is why eminent sheikhs will preach khutbahs or sermons on Friday that are irrelevant. And this is why pastors on Sunday take you in a time machine. Let's go back. And we're rocking with Moses, we're rocking with Abraham, we're rocking with Jesus. But what am I gonna do in 1997 to make it to 1998? Come on with some guidance. Wonderful to know how the prophet did it. Well, what are they telling you this for? So you can do it. In the time of your life, what he did in the time of his life. You want to dress like the prophet? You want to put a little dye in your hair like the prophet? It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. But I noticed the prophet rode on a camel. What are you doing in a Benz? If you will accept modern transportation, all the prophet was using was the vehicle of transportation of his day. What is the vehicle of transportation of 1998? The principle is more important than the vehicle. You are enslaved to rituals. Jewish ritual, Christian ritual, Muslim ritual, and your ritual has become your religion. So because Islamic ritual is different from Christian ritual, and Christian ritual is different from Jewish ritual, and Jewish, Christian, and Muslim ritual is different from Buddhist ritual. We all think that we all got a different faith here. God is one. His religion is one. But the way of devotion that he gives to each people in their time may be different. But the principles that undergird the ritual are the same. We are lost in rituals. and you are watching and judging by a ritual and not by a principle. It's very sad. So if we understand that our minds were formed under the arc of white supremacy. Just hear me, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm not going to be too much longer.
Malnourished, we need it. We malnourished, we need it.
And if you are malnourished, why?
Yes, sir.
If you wait for me to feed,
Yes, sir.
what will happen to you when I'm gone?
Go ahead. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
See, Allah is the ever-living.
Yes, sir.
And if you're feeding from Allah, you know that prophets as well as good people live and die.
Yes, sir.
If God is making me successful, it's because I built my life on principles that make success.
Yes, sir.
I have not invented anything nor brought anything new.
Yes, sir.
I'm not extraordinary. The principles that I built my life on are extraordinary. And if you build your life on those principles, you will be extraordinary.
Yes, sir.
As the prophets were, as the sages were, as the wise and the great men are. They're only great because they build their lives on principles that make for greatness.
Yes, sir.
So if your mind needs to be renewed,
Yes, sir.
then I ask you, what is the process?
Yes, sir.
See, all our minds were shaped by this world. This world is shaped and under the power of white supremacy.
Yes, sir.
Racism has poisoned every religion on the earth. Nationalism is sickness. You carve out a little piece of earth with your foolish self.
Come on.
And that little teeny weeny piece, you get a boundary and you say, I'm Egyptian. This is my flag. This is my constitution. This is my army, my navy. I'm proud. I'm an Egyptian.
Yes, sir.
No, you're just a fool. What did I say something wrong? Egypt, Sudan, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Nigeria, Ghana, Benin, Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone, Liberia, a little piece of earth, with a little piece of territory that none of you can put in your pocket and take with you. The earth is one. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was destructive of artificial barriers that separate human beings, whether it is race, ethnicity, color, religion, earth. God is one. We are separated by race and color, right? By nationality. language differences. And we say, we are all different. I'm Chinese or Korean, I'm Japanese, I'm this, I'm that. But look, you go to the bathroom, that's universal, ain't it? You don't do it any different than anybody else, do you? Come out the same way? Universal. No, I'm not trying to be funny. I saw a plane crashed in Indonesia the other day. I saw people crying over the loss of their loved ones. Do you cry when your loved ones go? Chinese cry when their loved ones go. Japanese cry. White folk cry. Everybody cries. Crying is universal. How come we don't have a universal creed that will unite the whole human family rather than fester us in our silly divisions? Yes, sir. Unite the whole human family rather than fester us in our silly divisions. Yes, sir. Well, I'm proud I'm black. Very good. I am too. Yes, sir. But I ain't crazy. I know I'm black. But should I walk around with a black badge on? I'm black. And my stupid counterpart, I'm white. Look, man, Allah is the author of color. He has black earth, brown earth, red earth, pink earth, white earth. He calls it earth. You don't hear the black talking. I'm better. Come on. The earth will accept your carcass. Don't care what your color. You may be Chinese. You can die in Jamaica. Jamaica's not going to say, get out, you the wrong nationality. The earth is not as stupid as you. I'm not going there today. But once we are taught the same universal truths that make us laugh and cry and go to the bathroom and have sex and have babies and think and reason. See, there's a universal message. Yes, sir. That's right. That will stop the confusion. Yes. That's where we're coming to. Our minds, all of us, have to have our minds renewed. Yes, sir. How will our minds be renewed? It comes from the organ of hearing. The ear is the organ by which the mind can be transformed. Yes, sir. The Bible says we are born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So now the process of renewing the mind is most difficult because we are in love with the world. Yes, sir. See, the world has shaped our minds and we love the world. Look at it. We talk. Look. We talk this stuff.
Yes, sir.
About the kingdom of God. But who really wants to live in it? See, talking the kingdom is right for religious people.
Yes, sir.
Oh, there's the kingdom of God, the kingdom of Islam, the kingdom of obedience to God. That's where we want to be. Oh, it sounds so nice. But when you are faced with a choice of obeying God or obeying the lust of the flesh or obeying man, how do you come out? So the process of renewing the mind is most difficult because we love the world. So anyone that speaks against what we love, the first response is resistance. Now, when I spoke the other night, dear pastors, please listen. When I spoke about Jesus, a Muslim can't be a Muslim and not love Jesus. If any Muslim rejects Jesus, God rejects him. Let's start on common ground. Jesus is the most important name in a Christian's life. Isn't he? Muhammad is the most important name in a Muslim's life. Are we going to become like little children now? My daddy bigger than yours. My daddy got big muscles. Your daddy's a skinny daddy. Now you're going to bring the two daddies to fight each other? They're not foolish like the children. See, God, in his wisdom, makes some of his servants to excel others. But it is not for us to glory in the excellence of his make of one over the other, that we make distinction between God's servants. Now look, here's what I'm coming to. Time is almost gone. I said on Thursday that a decree of judgment has come down against America by God, because she is the most wicked and violent and corrupt society on earth and is the most powerful nation ever in the history of the present world. I know that hurts to hear that a decree of judgment has come down on America. You don't have to say it. I have to. Because if I don't say it, Allah will punish me. And I don't say it so I can show off that I'm some big bad fella. I say it because I'm trying with every breath I take to save us and a nation that could be saved if the nation would hear. Now look, Christians, I know that Jesus is the most important person of the gospel and of the Bible, next to God. I know that. You who love Jesus, and rightly so, love him by the word that you have read of him in the book. But the man you may not know. Listen. The white man gave us the Bible. Let's deal with reality now. Who made you a Christian? Now don't argue with me. Don't argue. Think. Did Jesus make you a Christian? Did Jesus tell you that he would not accept anybody except that they're Christians? Show it to me in the Bible. You can't do it because it's not there. How do you know it's not there? You don't even read. That is your problem, Christian. You allow your preacher to read to you, but you got a Bible and you won't read it yourself. Wait a minute, Muslims, you ain't no better. But Farrakhan, you're not a true Muslim. See? Then when Farrakhan starts quoting the Quran, you don't even know where he's talking from. You supposed to be a Muslim and don't read the book of God? You waiting for some imam to tell you what it means? An imam whose heart may be darkened with the filth and corruption of the world, but the word is for everybody to read. How come you leave it to your scholars and your doctors of law and will not read the book for yourself? You are lazy, trifling people. Tell me something. You get on the bus going to work tomorrow, you see somebody with a Bible in their hand, you don't want to sit next to them. They say, oh, one of them holy rollers going to talk to me about Jesus. And you'll stand up even though your back is hurting. What's wrong with you that you run from the Word of God? Muslim carry his Quran. I don't see many Muslims carrying Qurans. They'll carry the dhikr beads to remember Allah by saying his attributes, but I don't see them carrying the Quran. And every time they get a moment, you see what it says in Surah so and so. I'm saying all of that, my dear family, because the Son of Man that I pointed out to you on Thursday coming out of the east, you're going to have to deal with this. I said his name is Master Farad Muhammad. Wait a minute. I said he's the Jesus you've been looking for all your life. You get angry. Oh, Farrakhan, stop. You're talking about my Jesus. I am talking about your Jesus, but I want you to know him. I want you to meet him. You know him from the Word, but when he comes, will you know him when he comes? If I'm wrong, then I need to be corrected. But emotional outbursts is not going to correct me.
That's right. No, sir. No, sir.
We've got to sit down now and dialogue over what the prophets have said and what is real and what is not. And you can check your emotions at the door, because both worlds are going down. The Islamic world is going down. The Christian world is going down. Take it or leave it, because most of you are false pretenders. Farrakhan, what makes you think you ain't? I pray that God will bless me to be. I'm not arrogant enough to think that I know beyond what I know. But America is in deep trouble. And dear pastor, you and I are in deep trouble based on the condition of the people that are under our leadership, that we have not improved their conduct or their character, because we hide the moral standard of God under a bushel basket and preach doctrines that tickle their ears so we can be accepted and acceptable by the mayor, by the governor. Maybe you will give a big contribution to President Clinton so you can have dinner in one of the rooms in the White House. To see the mayor walk in with a bag full of preachers. As though the mayor is God because he sits in the position of authority, and you are too cowardly to say to him, "Thus saith the Lord." Oh, dear, dear, dear people. You're in deep trouble. I don't have long among you, but I know this: every word that I say, you're going to meet it. You're going to witness a great catastrophic calamities in the cities of America and the world, because God intends to lay this Pharaoh low so that perhaps you may listen. I want to read something to you, and then I'll finish this at another time.
Yes, sir.
It's from the 2nd chapter of Ezekiel. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto you. This is not the same Son of Man that comes out of the east. The Son of Man that comes out of the east is independent. But now he's standing up somebody to be a son of man, as we are all sons of men. And the Spirit entered into me when he spoke unto me and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake unto me, and he said unto me, Son of man, I send you to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me even unto this very day. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted, but I send you unto them. Now just stop. I mean, I know you're tired. Well, but you ain't more tired than me. Ain't none of you working hard as me. Don't let me see those damn sleepy eyes up in here. Wake up. All of you, wake up. And live. Or go to sleep and die. When I looked at the word impudent, I said, my God, look at our people. Bold, impertinent, or pertaining to effrontery, shameless, or brazenly immodest, insulting, rude, saucy, pert, presumptuous, brazen. And this is the way we are in our sin and in our foolishness. Anybody try to tell you you're wrong, see, you get saucy. Bold and impertinent. Like somebody committed an affront to you by telling you that you need to change your way. Rebellious, defying or resisting God's authority, government, insubordinate, inclined to rebel. He says, son of man, I'm sending you to a house like this. He said, and whether they will hear or forbear, they shall know that there hath been a prophet among them. And thou, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words, though briars and thorns be with you, and though thou dost dwell among scorpions. Be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. And thou shalt speak my words unto them, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are most rebellious. Open thy mouth and eat what I give thee. And when I looked, behold, a hand was sent unto me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein, and he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written lamentation and mourning and woe. That means that the word will be full of expressions of regret and sorrow. Because the man who eats the roll to warn a rebellious people, to see them reject truth while they sport and play, gives him lament, mourning, and regret, because he knows they are going to die. Ain't no white dress gonna save you. Ain't no bow tie gonna save you. Ain't no cross around your neck gonna save you. And making prayers in the mosque ain't necessarily gonna save you. If you don't bow down, you will be destroyed. It is that time. So I said, oh Allah, Here am I. I had an experience that has carried me this last 12 years and given me insight into what the government was planning against you and me. That experience made me to know what the government was planning against Muammar Gaddafi. And I went to Libya to warn him of what government was doing, not even realizing that the war of Armageddon had already started. And the war of Armageddon is truth against falsehood, and it's the Western world against Islam. What is Islam? It is obedience to the will of God. America has become the champion of the world of rebellion. And America is using moderate Islamic states and moderate Islamic leaders against the more militant, what they call fundamentalists, who in their zeal to see Islam return to its former glory are using methods that may not win anybody outside of the faith to the faith, but destroys people's love for Islam or tendency toward Islam. President Nixon wrote before he died, and he said the Third World War has already started and we are losing it. He said the enemy of democracy is not communism, it is fundamentalist Islam. Reagan was a protege of Nixon, and Bush was Nixon's vice president that became president. Neither Carter nor Clinton have changed the direction of America against Islam. And what Allah allowed me to see has to do with the nation of Islam, but it has to do with black people in general. The plot thickens against the nation and against you. There's so much I could say, just is not enough time. And so maybe I should stop here and warn you, beloved. Dear pastors, you're not going to get by talking about Jesus. We are all going to have to know him. We're not going to get by talking Muhammad. We're going to have to know him. Because it is only in knowing and following that we can escape the fall of this world. I told you on Thursday that one of the sixes in the number of the beast that is in the book of Revelations deals with 60 years of grace, where the Jews have one 24-hour period called a Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. And each of the Abrahamic faiths or traditions have what is called a Sabbath. The Muslims on Friday, the Jews on Saturday, the Christians on Sunday. The command of Allah is observance of a day of congregational prayer and activity around family and faith and the worship of the one God. It is the same with the Jews. It is the same with the Christians. But the Christians have violated the Sabbath. Where 40 years ago, certain behavior was not seen on Sunday among Christians. Everything goes now. Reformed Jews don't practice either as strong. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Bush was Reagan's vice president? Nixon. No, he was Reagan's vice president, pardon me. But I hope you understand where I'm coming from. That Reagan came out from Nixon, Bush came out from Reagan. And now the Republicans have gained dominance over government, and Carter and Clinton as Democrats have kept up the policies against the Islamic world. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. Now, I know that I have a difficult job to present Jesus to Christians who think they already know him. That's very hard. And you know, I have a difficult job on the other shore too. Because Mahdi is prophesied to come from the Muslim side, and many have claimed to be Mahdi. But there is a criterion by which Mahdi can be judged. And we're going to have to sit down and look at this, because the time has just about run out, and I can tell you that the punishment on America and us will begin to get very, very, very severe starting now. Death will be widespread starting now. The persecution that will come on me and on us will be very great. But if you are steadfast, Allah will deliver us out of the hands of those whose desire is to see the nation of Islam destroyed. They have become confederate, even as it was in the battle of Badr. Yeah? What Allah has shown me from the study of their word, you know, the week between Jesus's march into Jerusalem and the Jews standing around watching Jesus' triumphant march. This is from the Bible. And the Jews started saying to one another, if we don't stop this man now, the whole world will go after him.
Yes, sir.
And listen to the hosannas
Come on now.
on what they call Palm Sunday. And 5 days later, he was crucified. These days are not 24-hour days. It represents years.
Okay.
And if you look from the time of the Million Man March, where I was used by God to call black men whom the world knows are dead. But I called you, and you responded not to me, but to God. And dear Christians, see, if you read the Bible and just don't apply it to the modern time, then it has no value. When Jesus went to Martha, and Martha said, Jesus, the one whom you love is dead. And Jesus said, no, he's asleep. Take me to where he is. And Jesus called, and Lazarus came forth. Lazarus was the first man that was raised from the dead.
Yes.
Is that right? According to the Bible. Now, because Jesus called him out of that tomb, fame spread, and they began believing that Jesus was in fact the Messiah, and they started saying Hosanna, right? He came into Jerusalem riding on a donkey. Is that right? Now you saw that and didn't know what you were looking at. The Quran has it like this. God says to Abraham, take 4 birds, put them on 4 mountains, and call them. And when the birds land in your hand, that will be the sign of the resurrection of the dead. It's a call. And that which would never answer the call, respond to the call. And the resurrection of the dead is what brings on the judgment of the world. I made a call for 1 million. They say there's 11 million black men. Nearly 2 million showed up. So that means a nation arose. When one came, they will tell you it represents 15 that remain behind. If 2 came, that means 30 million. That means that the whole nation arose. Oh man, you're not hearing me. The white man is looking. The world is looking. It never was done in the history of the world. So whether you wanted to exalt Farrakhan or not, the call and your response exalted me.
Yes, sir.
Now wait, that was not your intention, nor was it mine. But it happened. Now look, brothers, it went throughout the world. And the Jews stood by and they said, if he continues, the whole world will go after him. See, they know that there's something in my mouth from Allah. And they know that if I'm free to speak it, they won't be able to rule you or their own people any longer. No, don't applaud, just listen to me. Just listen to me. I rode into Washington on the unlearned masses of our people. That's what the donkey represents. And people started saying, Hosanna. Whoa, Farrakhan. Now just look at this. Just look at this. Right after Jesus went into Jerusalem, the Jews, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, they kept wanting to question him as to who he was. You know, they was trying to get him to say who in fact he really was. Jesus used the term Son of Man. See, and then they got together and said, blasphemy, blasphemy. Right after the Million Man March, Pat Robinson and the 700 Club went to work on us because I said that Jesus is to come out from among the dead. Jesus and his mother 2,000 years ago were for a sign of the Messiah who would come in the last days. Now we're going to have to deal with this, Christian scholars. You can't dismiss me. You're going to have to deal with me. If I am wrong, you have to set me right. But if I am right, then you gotta change or die. Now, if I made a call that was never made in the history of the world, and God allowed that call to be answered, he's telling you something about that person. I don't have to talk. God is telling you something. He's telling you, your leaders cannot call 1,000. But a black man in America called 1,000,000 and 2 answered. No. God is saying something to you. And God is saying something to me. And I've been running and ducking, dodging. I can't run no more. I am who I am. And you're going to have to deal with me. Because I'm not going away. And if anybody attempt on my life, I am telling you, you will unleash a force in America like you have never seen before. represent the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I was a musician, brothers. I always loved us, but I didn't know what to do with my love. I thought maybe if I sang, if I played my violin, if I danced, I could make you happy in your sadness, until I met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, I didn't finish college. I wanted to, but my wife got pregnant. And I could not be in college while my wife was in labor, so I decided I had to leave college and go to work and take care of my wife and my child. I was a responsible young man. I never thought I would be no preacher. I never wanted to be any preacher. I wanted to sing. I wanted to play my violin. I wanted to dance. I wanted to entertain. But Allah had something else in mind for me. Now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that's my father. Wait a minute. See, I don't know nothing but what that man taught me. And even though some may think I would be a leader on my own, I wouldn't be nothing without that man. And I can't be unfaithful to him because you don't like him. He made me a Muslim. Malcolm gave me my first Holy Quran. When I went to Pakistan, they told me, you can't mention Maulana Muhammad Ali because he is guilty of shirk. I said, I don't care what you say. If it were not for him and the Quran that he translated into English, I would never have read the words of God. I will not deny him, even though I'm in Pakistan. You are too busy judging, and you don't know enough to judge. You take off Allah's robes and put on your own, because Allah knows who the believer is. And even if the believer makes a mistake in perception about himself, Allah judges the totality of the man. I didn't come to follow Elijah Muhammad to steal his chair, but I was sitting in the back over there, and he called me out and stood me here and told all of you, listen to him like Master Farrakhan told them before. He told all of you to hear me. He was no dummy. I came back another day and he called me out and he sat me in his seat. For what? Come on. I wasn't seeking that. He was telling you something and telling me something. When he was whipping me at the table one night, you were there, Brother Sharif, because I went to Huey Newton's house and submitted to a search. And he was beating me up for allowing myself to be searched by somebody who was an inferior, and he was whipping me because we taught searching. But the way he was whipping me in your presence and in the presence of other All of the would-be leaders. But out of all of them, God has blessed me. He blessed me, not because I wanted it, but I love that man. And I love our people. The Imam said, if you give Farrakhan $30,000 and a warm pair of female underwear, he would give up the mission. I got 30 times 30,000. God damn it, and I can have women any day that I want them, but I want the freedom of the black man. I don't give a damn about none of that. Ask any of these women, do I go around them, feeling on them, patting on them, asking them for their body? Ask any damn one of them. Tell her. I know you know I'm right. I want the liberation of our people. Excuse my harsh words. "60 years of grace that starts from the time Elijah Muhammad is left alone by his teacher to warn America and to warn us, leading into a millennium where peace will be the order of the day and the destruction of Satan and all his ways will take place." I want you to bring that sign out here, and then I'll close. Y'all all right? I used to sit at his table, Sharif, and he would say to me, "Brother, you got to do more than preach that Jonah went to Nineveh." And I didn't know what he was talking about. And every time he would see me, take it all the way up as much as you can. Give me the tallest brothers that you got. Reverend Bevel, where are you? Come on out here. Where's this man? Give me a microphone. Do you know that in the time of Moses, God told the people when the death angel was coming, if you want the death angel to pass over your house, go make a sign on your door of an X in the blood of a lamb, and when the death angel sees that sign, he will pass over your house. Reverend Bevel showed me a symbol that he said we won't use that, we should use the dove. Isn't that what you said, Reverend Bevel? That's what you said. I didn't listen, but I didn't resist him. I didn't say, "Oh no, Reverend Bevel, you should put what is written in the book." It resonated with me, and I'll tell you why. During the Million Man March, All of us on that mall witnessed a spirit like we had never experienced at no time since our first fathers set their foot in America. Is that right? Where did that spirit come from? Do you remember when Jesus went up on the mount and there was a temple to Elijah and one to Moses, and a dove descended and a voice was heard saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." You on that mall, and the Spirit of God came down on us, brothers, like it has never been seen before or since. The Promise Keepers tried to imitate it. It was pretty good. But like most white people, when they imitate black artists, it's very near the spirit. You understand? They just ain't got, you know what I mean? Some of them can do it, though, to make you think that they really like us. And they try real hard. And they get real close. Promise Keepers got close. But the dove, representing the sweet Holy Spirit of God, descended on us. And God was saying how pleased he was with what we did, and he was choosing us on that day for a great commission. And listen to this. I never argued with you over the dove. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Reverend Bevel, kept saying to me, "You got to do more than preach that Jonah went to Nineveh." I kept saying, why he keep saying that to me? And I would come back and sit with him again, and he would say, "Brother, you got to do more than preach that Jonah went to Nineveh." Finally, it dawned on me yesterday. I'm slow. Come out, Mother Tanetta, please. Mother Tanetta Muhammad, this is the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and my wonderful sister. Mother Tanetta reads the Quran once every 7 days, and she's been doing it for how many years?
It's 17 years now.
17 years. And she studies like I know no other woman studies. She gets up in the morning for her prayer, and she studies and she writes. I didn't know this, but she told me the other day, she said, "You know, Brother Minister, the name Jonah means the dove." When I was studying this morning, I was just crying, because I understand what God has been saying to me through him, through you, and through others. America is in trouble. Our people are in trouble. But you know what? Jonah was the only person, the only one that was able to get a postponement of God's decree of judgment. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that was a sign of the prophet, but the prophet only spoke at that time to the Quraysh in Arabia. Look at what we speak into today, dear brothers. This is the most powerful government on earth, and she's the wickedest government in the history of the world. Yet Jesus said This wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but no sign shall be given to you except the sign of Jonah. As Jonah was in the belly of the whale 3 days and 3 nights, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Jonah can't even be Jonah until the Son of Man comes.
Come on, brother.
Oh, man. Some of you got angry because on Thursday I said I am not the Son of Man. I am a Son of Man that has been set down in a valley that is full of bones. You ain't never heard no black man preach like me. I don't care what he say. Nobody. This is no accident. This is not rhetoric. Rhetoric don't transform human life and make men and women want to be better. I met with a man, the Son of Man, and he made me a Son of Man and set me down in a valley that was full of bones. And when I called the bones, they stood up, an exceedingly great army. When their other leaders spoke to them, they rattled, they shook. But when Farrakhan called, the dove came down, and the sweet Holy Spirit, because that's what Farrakhan is. He's the Spirit of God in the midst of the world. The time is short. Now as Noah built an ark, and everybody had to come under the ark in order to be saved. The ark is atonement. Everybody got to come and bow down under atonement. And if we come and bow down and repent and confess and turn from our wicked ways, and confess and turn from our wicked ways, then God will hear from heaven, forgive our sins, and heal our land. We're coming up on the 3rd day, or the 3rd year from the march in Washington. And the scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees are meeting, saying, we got to stop Farrakhan, because if we don't stop him, he's going to take our country from us. I'm telling you what they're saying, brother. He's going to take our country. He's talking to Hispanic people listening to him. He's talking to Arabs listening to him. He's talking to Native Americans listening to him. And now this Negro talking about he's going to talk to white folk. He's taking everybody away from us. That's right, Mr. Government of America. You don't deserve to be the government. You're liars, you're cheats, you're murderers, you're thieves in the name of government. And that's why the Bible tells you, for unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given, and a government shall be upon his shoulder. Because all the governments of the world have failed. That's why they have red carpets. I refuse to walk on a red carpet, because they built their world on the blood of human beings. I kill no man. I am rising into power in America and haven't killed no man. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. So I'm asking you to help me to beat prophecy. Before this year is out, you look at the weather, you will see much destruction, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. The reason you're having trouble with your insurance companies paying their claims is because the calamities in America are defying their mathematics. They have built insurance companies on the insecurity of the people, and they've said, well, you know, at death you give us so much and so much, and your people will benefit on your death, pay for your house and your car. And they know the ratio of how many accidents, how many calamities, and they know that they're going to keep a big residue of money. But God is short-circuiting the mathematics that they build their insurance companies on. And there are so many calamities and tragedies happening that the insurance companies are beginning to not pay off. Ask the people in the areas where there are floods and where there are tornadoes, and these things are going to get worse and worse, and some of us may die, but I am telling you, God's wrath is coming down on America, on the world in general, but on America in particular. And I would just hope that you will come under the ark. I'm not asking you to change your religion. I'm just asking you to live up to the principles of what Jesus taught, what Moses taught, what Muhammad taught. They all taught the same righteous principles. But unless we atone, look at it, just look at the words. A-tone, I love it. Man, if I had an instrument here, I would hit the A-tone. A is 440 vibrations. How long we been in America? 442 years. 2 years ago, I struck the A-tone, meaning I sent forth a sound that everybody got to tune up their instrument by the sound of the Word of God. Thank you. A-tone. At one. At one. We've got to be on one accord. At one with God and at one with each other. Don't you say, brothers, listen to me good, I'm not going to accept no atonement from you in the ranks. I just told the Supreme Captain, anybody that is with me, claim to be with me, and you won't accept somebody asking for forgiveness, I'm putting you out of here. You're going back to the world, because you can't be that way in this house. If you don't know how to forgive your brother, you ain't fit to be in the brotherhood. You done forgive the white man. Man done did everything imaginable to you. And you can skin and grin with the white man. But you will not forgive your own brother, your own sister, your own mother, your own father. Forgiveness is the power to relieve your soul of the burden of your own transgressions and the transgressions of others. You got to learn how to give it up. Give it up. That's the ark. Come under the ark. Come under atonement. And let us, I know you have to go, Sheikh. May Allah bless you. Thank you for coming. Yes. I thank all of you for this day. There's so much more that I wanted to say, but you take what you got. Yes, sir. I think we can beat prophecy. But when you're confronted with something that is different from what you thought all your life, don't say it's wrong. Let's reason. And then if we reason together on the basis of truth, we're going to come out of one accord. We have to sit down, Christians, over the most important person in the world, Jesus. We have to sit down, Muslims, over the most important person, Muhammad. We've got to talk about this as friends and as brothers, not as enemies. Because if Elijah Muhammad was a false man, we want to know it. But if he was true, you got to know it. You bring your proof that he's false, and we'll bring our proof that he's true. And let's sit down and talk like brothers. And if you are right, we'll come with you. If we are right, it ain't about bowing to me or no man. It's about bowing to what is truth, because the heavens and the earth are created in truth. And when we stand up on truth, we stand on the most powerful of foundations. I ask you, if any sister or brother has done you wrong, or you've done someone wrong, go and get it together. I'm telling you, Muslims, they are hateful of the success press all over us in every city. How many of you are with Farrakhan? How many of you in atonement? They know the theme is right. Now Jonah, the dove, the Spirit of God, has to go and deliver the message. And when I come again, I will begin to break down to you what Jonah has to say to Nineveh in order for Nineveh to repent. You got to do more than preach that he went. You got to know what he preached when he got there. So I thank Allah for Reverend Bevel. I thank Allah for Mother Tainetta Muhammad. I thank Allah for the work of Minister Ismail Muhammad and all of you that helped in the atonement. I thank Allah, but the work is not over. It has just begun. I think we can beat prophecy, and if you and I will work on the atonement, we'll get all of America bowing down, and then the cloud of rain and tornadoes will disappear, and God will begin to heal the atmosphere and the land, because righteousness now is coming up where wickedness was full blown. May Allah bless you. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All praise is due to Allah. Beloved family, before we dismiss with prayer, can you just have a seat, please? We would like